today is Rabbi Yossi Harlig from the Chabad of Kendall and Pinecrest. Welcome
and the Friendship Circle.
And yes, the Friendship Circle, probably most importantly, Friendship Circle.
Yeah.
First of all, Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
And I hope this year is filled with lots of good health and happiness for you and your family and the people that you care about. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? We have 30 minutes, and at the end of that, Tommy is going to wrap it up, and then he's going to be leaving immediately. So Tommy's going to remind us at 25 minutes, all right? Tommy?
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right.
Yes. So what do you want to talk about today? That's your question. What do you usually talk to people about? Usually if someone sits in this chair, what do you talk to them about?
Okay. Why don't we...
They say whenever you ask a rabbi a question, they answer the question with a question.
That's perfect.
So
okay.
Someone comes to the rabbi and says, Rabbi, why every time I ask you a question, you always answer with a question? He says, and what's wrong with that?
So, Mr. Socrates, so when did you know that you were going to become a rabbi?
When did I know I was going to become a rabbi? I was fortunate enough. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, Crown Heights. And in the community that we lived in at that time was only the Chabad Lubavitch movement in the Brooklyn, New York, in Crown Heights. And I was fortunate enough to be raised in a community where our spiritual leader was the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Lubavitcher Rebbe was born in Russia in 1902, and he came to America in 1950. Ran away from communism, Nazism, and he came to America. When he came to America, his father-in-law was the Lubavitcher Rebbe. So there was 7 rabbis going back over 300 years, going back all the way in Russia, from 300 years. And in 1950, the Rebbe that I grew up with took over leadership. And his philosophy was, we just finished the darkest period in Jewish history, the darkest period in the world, actually, where the Second World War, they killed over 6 million Jews and millions of people were killed under communism and Nazism. And being Jewish meant a death sentence. And the Rebbe said, now it's our responsibility to go out to the world and find the Jewish people and inspire them. And not only Jewish people, but the whole community, and bring light and love and care and inspiration to them. And one of the things while I was being raised, the Rebbe always teach us that the greatest act you could do in life is to go out and make a difference in someone else's life.
And how old are you at this point?
I was born in the 70s, in the 70s and 80s. So from when I was young already, I knew this is what I want to do in life, is to go out and what's called a shliach, to represent the Rebbe's mission to our community. And you see that's why there's thousands of Chabad centers all over the world. Here in South Florida, there's a few hundred. And the mission and goal is to go find Jewish people and inspire them with the Jewish heritage. And we run also the Friendship Circle, which is not only helping Jewish children, it's helping all children, it's non-sectarian. But the purpose is really to show that every single individual is important and we value each and the person.
When did Habad become popularized here in South Florida?
The first Chabad center opened, I think, in the early 60s, and then 80s, 90s is where a lot of centers opened up.
So inquiring minds want to know, why are there people that are Jewish that look like you, and then there's other people that are Jewish and perhaps rabbis that don't look the same way? They dress differently. They don't necessarily have a beard. They don't necessarily wear a yarmulke. Why is it a difference?
So within for our philosophy is that the Jew is a Jew no matter what. If you're wearing a kippah or beard, then no kippah, no beard. If you observe the Shabbos, or if you do not observe the Shabbos, you're just as Jewish as me or as anyone else. So that doesn't identify with your Jewish identity, because you're born Jewish, you're a Jew. If you convert to Judaism, then you're a Jew. What then, there are some Jews that practice at different levels. A lot of it has to do with where you're raised and the level of observance that you took upon yourself. So when you're raised in a more of a religious Orthodox family and you embrace that lifestyle, so you have the kippah, the beard, and pray in the morning, in the afternoon. Some people pray, but they don't have a beard. There are different reasons why people have beards or don't, or wear the kippah all the time. But it's really from different types of backgrounds and different types of levels of observance and acceptance. But remember, as I said, regardless of your level of observance, you're just as Jewish. Like one of the mistakes people tell me, "Oh, Rabbi, I'm not as Jewish as you are." And I said, "No, you're 100% as Jewish as I am." It's like you have different children. All your children are your children. One may do one thing, or another does another thing. They're still your children. They're still part of your your family. It's one of the questions I ask other Jewish people. What makes you Jewish? Does it mean having faith in God? No, because I know a lot of Jews don't have faith in God. That means that you eat matzah ball soup Friday night? No. Does it mean that...
Here we are with some espresso from Denise. Thank you very much, Denise. She's the most favorite person. All right, we're deep in thought here.
Correct. I'm glad a little bit of coffee could get you, drop you off. No, I'm good. Thank you. My staff just told me as I was taking a cup of coffee and leaving the office, they said, Rabbi, soon the coffee is going to kill you because I drink coffee throughout the day. So we, regardless of what makes you living in Israel, no, you don't have to live in Israel to be Jewish. So it means you're part of the Jewish family. It's just you have different levels of observance. Now, where Chabad is different than most other organizations, especially religious organizations, is Chabad is an outreach organization, meaning a typical Chabad center, when they move into a community, they are there to do programs and services for that community. So it's not only about who belongs to your synagogue, who belongs to your, comes to your services. We service the whole community. So it could be going to visit the prisons, like I used to go with your wife. I took Susan, I turned her on to go into prisons. Go and visit people in the hospitals. They don't have to be our member. It could be people coming for adult education. It could be for life cycle events. It could be friendship circle for special needs. The Rebbe's vision and goal is we have a responsibility to be there, to inspire and be there for the people.
So some people think that I was raised Jewish, and I wasn't, all right? Until I was 25, I'd only been in a temple a couple times. Although my parents are Jewish, never practiced. And I think after the age of 20, it was when Susan got more involved that she was able to rope me in, right? And when I think I mentioned this before, when her father said, well, before we got married, what religion the kids going to be? So I said, Susan, what religion the kids going to be? Because religion did not play a role with me. And she said, Jewish. So okay. I know it was all fine. So my first real experience in being associated on a religious level, whatever that entails, was with Habad, and actually was with you, even though a lot of my parents' friends were Jewish, as I look back.
Wow.
Right? So, and for me, it went from a sitting in the back of a temple, all right, to being up front and close. The Habads tend to be, at least the ones down here, tend to be a little bit smaller than a traditional church, where there might be 5 times as many people. Is that part of the thing that attracts people to go to Habad?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, for example, in certain communities, there may be more of a larger traditional community, so they're more comfortable praying in a Chabad setting. But we have a lot of people that, for whatever reason, may not feel comfortable davening in a Chabad setting, but they'll use our services or our facility for adult education, Hebrew school for their children, or friendship circle, or Friday night dinners and those kind of things. So you find a lot of Chabads there. It's more of an intimate feeling of the prayers and all that. But I just want to add to an interesting point. You mentioned when you're who asked you how you're raising your children? Was your father, you said?
Father-in-law.
Father-in-law asked you. One of the discussions I have is, as a rabbi, you talk to people at different stages of their life. The biggest decision you make in your life is who you're going to marry. That's the most important decision you'll make in life, because who you marry is going to affect your life, good or bad, more than your business, more than how much money you have. You could have all the money in the world and have the most beautiful thing. If you're married to the wrong person, you live the most miserable life. You could have a challenging life, but if you have the right partner, it could really, really help you go through life. So one of the things that we always talk, the challenge that we have is that if you make a chart, the level of involvement a person is in religion, in this case is Judaism, it will be very high. If you take a chart, right, on top, it will be high when it comes to when you're young. Usually you're having bar mitzvah or whatever religion you're in, that's where you have it, you do whatever you're doing. Then when you're a young adult, it drops low. And like your 20s and 30s, a lot of people care less. Then later when you're 40s, 50s, you start caring again. It's again back up here. The problem is when you fall in love, when it's very low. When your connection and feeling for Judaism is not at a high level. And then later on, when you're 40, 50 years old, you say, how are you going to raise your kids? And then let's say one spouse feels very strong about raising the kids very Jewish. The other one could care less. The problem is that when you fell in love, that wasn't that important to you. So when I remind people while they're dating, they say, well, I don't really care. That doesn't make a difference. I say, you're going to care. Today you don't care because you're only, you're mid-20s. Doesn't mean. But most people I know in the mid-40s, they already care about how they raise their children. So what didn't mean anything to you then, today has a lot of meaning to you.
It does. And I'm delighted. And one of the things that I missed, because I was raised as Unitarian, I didn't see the traditions.
Right.
And I see that in Judaism. And Friday nights we celebrate that frequently. I look for it's like it's part of it, right? And when the kids were coming over, that was part of it. And it's nice to know there was a tradition that when my parents were young, before they were 18, they did it. And as I look back, it was my grandparents' parents that were Orthodox. I guess everybody at that point was Orthodox, and I watched how it sort of disappeared, and now it's come back, right? And who would ever thought that my daughter would marry somebody that was is he Orthodox? Is he Orthodox?
Your
my son-in-law.
I know we have to ask him.
But anyway, he's very Jewish.
Correct.
Right? And it's like perfect. And our grandson, it's like it's perfect. It all fits in. It's a blending, and it's very nice. And one of the things I found in the community is that there was a camaraderie that I didn't feel. Right? It was this almost an extended family, and it was a very friendly group, and with lots of kids. Right? So I'm pleased that my son-in-law, he was one of 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever, right? And he knew how to take care of kids. So when I saw him with our grandkids, he did way better than I did, right? You can throw them up and down, not afraid you're going to break them. And so I enjoyed that relationship with my wife and my kids.
How often do you have the Friday night dinners?
3/4 of the time.
And how do you enjoy it?
I like the tradition. I like when she lights the candles, and sometimes it's an abbreviated format, but just by virtue of that, it's fine. And when the kids were coming over, we'd sit down and.
With the kids coming over, yeah.
Right. That was great to be able to do that. And then I like how over a period of time I would learn a little bit more, and occasionally we would have a guest over, and they would be like, everybody would be solemn. And I go, shh, don't say anything. Like, bam, like you're going to explode or something. But it's in that tradition that people were really listening a lot.
It's interesting. If you look in the Bible, there's only one of the commandments God said, this is a gift for you. And he said something? Oh, one of the commandments is only one commandment that God said, this is a gift for you. It's the commandment of the Sabbath. You think, why is the Sabbath a gift? And I don't know if in the desert it was such a big gift because the people didn't have much to do. But today's days, honestly, we do an hour before Shabbos. It starts Friday night by sundown. You are running around, but then as soon as you light the candles, you turn off the phones. You shut down all the technology, and you focus on your family. It is the greatest blessing. Anyone that keeps Shabbos will tell you they don't know how people live without it. It's 24 hours of complete shutdown.
I have a friend who's not Jewish, but he recognizes the Sabbath, and so I said to myself, not doing anything Friday night other than this, Saturday not work. And as I watched it, after a while, when the habit gets built in, you figure out how to do it. That's all. That's what you do, right? And so Susan was lighting the candles. And she has a small candle and a big, small match and a big one. And I said, "Is there some symbolic reason for the big match?" And I said, "So I'm going to pass it down to my children. Yeah, this is so you don't burn yourself."
Yeah.
And so everything I look at it, it's like, okay, what's the meaning for this? And so I'm learning more, and then a couple hours later, I see the candles are getting a little bit lighter. She enjoys that. She enjoys that I'm involved in that and can celebrate that with her.
You remind me of the story of this couple. They're making a Rosh Hashanah dinner, and the child notices that the parents, the mother, cuts the brisket, 2 ends of the brisket. Says, "Why do you cut the 2 ends of the brisket? I only see Rosh Hashanah you do it." You know the story? She says, "I don't know. Let me ask my mother." They go ask the mother, "You cut the brisket, 2 ends of brisket?" He says, "Yes." "Why do you do it?" "I don't know. Let's ask grandma." So grandmother was still alive. They went to the old age home. They asked grandma, "Why did you always cut the 2 ends of the brisket?" said, "Oh, because the ovens were too small." So you remind me of
See, traditions.
a tradition. There's another interesting story happened with me with candles. Nechama wanted to, thank God we have a large family. And Nechama, one of my kids, a few of my kids, she had on Shabbos. So it was Friday afternoon. The doctor said they don't feel the baby moving. We got to go to the hospital. So we grab, the candles, the wine, and we bring it to the hospital. And I remember I lit the candles. I didn't know that I was supposed to light. You weren't supposed to light candles. I didn't ask questions. I just light the candle. From New York, you just do it. And then the lady asked questions later. I lit the candles, and then I was singing the prayers Friday night. And a nurse comes in and says, you're not supposed to have the candles. Just burn that, blew it out. Then I heard going out, and they're saying, it leaves the room. She says, oh my God, this is such a romantic couple. Like she thought I brought, my wife is in labor, I bring candles. And usually when they're labor, get the candles away. So what a romantic couple. I have my 2 Shabbos candles. I'm singing it Friday night.
It's great. They've already shared that with all their friends. So we have a few minutes left, but let's talk about the friendship circle.
Yes.
What's going on with the friendship circle? How many kids are you serving, and how's that working out now?
So before the last year, I'm not supposed to say the word, but last year, we were busting at the seams because the program was growing. People in the community were so thankful we had such a program that we could help the children and be there and give them the friendship. That's something that they're really missing, and giving the parents a break. But obviously the last 10 months, things have been very difficult, and it's for the families to bring their kids because some of them have health issues and they don't want to expose the children in case something happens to them. So obviously the less children are coming, but in a way it's even more important now because many of these kids are not around other people the whole week. Now a typical child is struggling with it, but a child on the spectrum, it's even more difficult. So our programs are very needed in the sense that it gives each one of these kids a place to find friendship and caring. And right now we're also very excited because our plans are about to be approved from the county. And we hope, God willing, in the next 6 months, we're able to build our facility, which will be a Chabad and a friendship circle, and it will give a place in the community where children with special needs can call their home and have programs that they need so badly. So that's what we're holding right now.
Rabbi Harlig, from the time, how many years ago were you said, and with your team, and said, we need a bigger place to be able to take care of these? What year was that?
I would say, it's about 4 or 5 years ago, because the rooms, when you're a special needs child, the rooms, you put a kid in, you put a group in a room like this, they get very stimulated. It's not good for them. So you need bigger rooms, and you could more space for the children. So I would say at least 4 years.
So sometimes it takes a while. So do you think that you're going to break ground? Is that what you said?
Our goal is we still need to raise a little more money. And our goal is, we talk about raising money, and our goal is to hopefully break ground within 6 months.
That's great. I know that you worked hard at trying to get that done. It took a couple times to get it through.
Correct.
But you were persistent and you provided great service. And I'm sure that the children are very happy about it, and the parents. Parents
are very happy. The parents, and especially what happened this past summer with this kid Alejandro, the story where the mother, broke. And, I'm not here to judge the mother and judge anyone, but she couldn't handle it anymore and she killed her child. And we need to be there for families for mothers at a breaking point. They should never get that breaking point. She can know they have a place they can bring the kid. When, a lot of people are single parents or married, but they have no way of help. And it's, you take care of your kid, and at 8 o'clock at night, they go to sleep. I was just talking to another father yesterday. There's no break. At night, the kid comes to the room. He has to worry about the kid running out of the room. He has to worry about the kid running out of the house. So you raise a child on the spectrum, it's 24/7. There is no break.
So not only do the children need the parents need to be able to take a break and to recognize
Correct.
Where they are.
Right.
Hopefully within a couple months, most of the people you and I can know will have their vaccine, at least the beginning
Correct.
of the shot. And then maybe come the fall, all right, things will begin to shift a little bit, if not sooner. And it's been a year, and it's been a tough year. And I repeated many times, Rabbi Harlig asked me, which 2020 you're living in? And it's such a short sentence, but it's so in-depth. And I tell people, and I ask them, well, which one are you living in? The one from today, yesterday, or the one this way? And recently I say, which 21 are you living in, right? The one from yesterday, the one that's going to be. So a lot of words of wisdom to be able to contemplate our future and the growth and the good things that are going to happen. So we're going to wrap up in a minute. Tommy, you have a question for Rabbi Harlig?
Not really. I'm just happy to see him. It's been a while. You haven't been in the studio for a while.
But you keep telling me that my show is the most popular show, right?
I keep saying that no matter what.
No matter what, yes.
I need as many blessings as I can get.
Oh, by the way, Tommy had a 62% win rate on his on his prognostications on football. So congratulations on that. He doesn't bet on him, but you can bet on it that he's got it right.
So, Michael, where do you see this show going?
Well, we are really excited that we're doing more and more business, more social issues rather than the other things that we were covering. And people really like this type of communication because it's instant and it's spontaneous. Granted, I love doing this because we make people really comfortable and talk about some guidance. And I usually ask our guests to talk to some young person out there that's looking forward to, and we just had a couple here, young lady and her husband. They each spoke about their drive that they've had. So as we're going to wrap this up, would you talk to a young man or young woman that's looking to forward in 2021 and talk to them about the future?
Yeah, also the past was beautiful.
Which camera, Tommy?
The camera. I think the past was also beautiful. I see that the period that we're living through right now is a period where we could have the greatest impact on other people. It means that sometimes in periods in life that you have to work very hard to make a difference in a person's life. Right now, we could really make a difference in people's lives on a daily basis through friendship, through caring, through picking up the phone, through being sensitive to other people's needs. I've never, in all the years I've been running Chabad since 1995, I've never really seen people being so open to an appreciation and appreciate their life and appreciate what people do for them. So I think now is a great time, if you're a young boy, young girl, is to reach out to another friend, show love and care to another person. Or if you're an adult, to volunteer somewhere. It could be either picking up the phone and asking someone how they're doing, or volunteering with an organization, or giving of love and time. We've had many times that we ask people, could you help us deliver packages with food, with so many different things that people are really waiting there to make a difference. And when you do that, then you realize that this moment wasn't a moment of darkness, but it's going to be a moment of light, that this is the time of my life that probably I could have had the greatest impact in any other period. Sometimes you think to yourself, you need to be, great moments that you can make great impacts. No, challenging moments is where you can make the greatest impact. So let's take advantage of this moment, and let's not forget to be thankful for what we have and give back to the community.
Wow. Again, folks, thank you for joining us. This is Rabbi Yossi Harlig with the Habad of Kendall and Pinecrest and Friendship Circle. Thank you for all your work and your support and your guidance as well. Tommy, thank you for everything. I know you're going to be going in about 45 seconds. Again, folks, this is Live with Miami's Community News. Have a great day. See ya.